Our friend Tudor Dixon joins us now. Tudor is, of course, the host of the Tudor Dixon Show on the Clay and Buck Podcast Network, and she is up in her home state of Michigan right now. She's in Bay City, in fact, and a fellow by the name of J.D. Vance is in your neighborhood today, Tudor. You guys are hanging out. What's going on up there?
Yes, absolutely. He and Kelly Loeffler, who is the administrator of the small business, is in Washington. She's out here today as well. So they are coming to a small business in Michigan called Vantage Plastics, and we are headed into the building in a few minutes here to see them speak about the importance of manufacturing in Michigan. That was a big promise from Donald Trump on the campaign trail, and he is following through to make sure that he is taking care of Michigan manufacturers and the workers here in the state of Michigan, and we could not be more excited to have them back here in the state.
So what can be done by the Trump administration, perhaps JD as point man on some of these policy items? What can be done to get manufacturing up and running in the kind of increases that Donald Trump wants and has promised?
I think he's been very clear that he is going to make sure that we don't have these competitors from, for example, China coming in. If you saw what happened in Germany, the Volkswagen factories all closed down because the Chinese electric vehicles came to Germany and took over. And he's been very clear that he's going to make sure that things are American made and that American cars are still number one in the country. That's very important here in the state of Michigan. Obviously, we are the state that put the world on wheels. We want to make sure that we continue to have auto manufacturing in the United States and centered right here in the state of Michigan. And so not only is he focused on that, but these tariffs that we are talking about as well, that's also going to draw back American manufacturers and manufacturing in America, which will ultimately help all of our tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 suppliers here in the state of Michigan. And that's what we want to make sure we beef up, because we are really struggling in the state to make sure that we are supplying enough jobs for the people in the state of Michigan.
So it sounds like when you're talking to people up there who are in manufacturing, are they enthusiastic about Trump's tariffs, specifically as they pertain to Canada, or is there one country that you hear about more than the others right now? Because tariffs is getting a lot of attention this week. So what are you hearing from people who are trying to actually make stuff here at home in America, up in Michigan?
The people, if Michigan came out strong for Donald Trump, they believe in what he's doing. When I talk to them, they're like, yes, this is why I voted for him. I trust what he's doing. I know that he understands the art of the deal. He understands negotiations. He understands when he has the leverage. They're not concerned about all the fear-mongering they're hearing from the left, because they know that they need a change here in the state, especially in this state. I mean, if you look at us, we're 41st in the nation in almost every category. If something doesn't change in Michigan, I mean, really, who's going to be the last person to turn out the lights on the way out the door?
It's a remarkable set of circumstances up there. And I also want to know, tell me what happened with Pete Buttigieg running for Senate in Michigan. It lasted like a day, and then I am told he's not. Is he even a Michigan guy? I don't even know. I knew he was in South Bend, Indiana, which is close by, as the mayor. But what happened to Mayor Pete? I thought he was going to make a run for it up there.
Well, Mayor Pete did win one election in his lifetime, so he believes that he will be able to win the presidency apparently now. But he was looking at the Senate because he moved to Michigan about 4 years ago. He moved to Traverse City, and I suspect that he was looking at the Senate race, and yet there are a lot of people here who have lived in Michigan for, almost their whole lives, if not their whole lives, who would like to have the Senate seat on the Democrat side. And I suspect that some of these women said to him, no, you step aside. But then he's saying, well, people were saying he'd have a better chance at the presidency if he didn't have one run right after the other. Give me a break. We know exactly what happened. He's a failed transportation secretary. He knows that he cannot explain what's happening in transportation today. That goes right back to his record. He knows that running or being the mayor of South Bend is not going to move people in the state of Michigan to put him out there as one of our senators. And he's a radical. He's not only bad at his job, he's a radical. He doesn't fit the state of Michigan. So I think people went to him and said, hey, man, this is not your time. And he believes for some reason that he can run for president. And I look forward to watching the matchup of Big Gretch and Mayor Pete together from Michigan on the stage trying to go up against the Republicans. I think it'll be hilarious.
We're speaking to our friend Tudor Dixon, who's got the Tudor Dixon podcast. You read my mind with Gretchen Whitmer next up here on our list of things to discuss. How is she doing statewide in approval ratings? Where does she fall, you think, in this? You've probably seen Gavin Newsom making a big play for the big Democrat slot, right? Meaning no one is going to be running in a primary right now, but people are already thinking about who is going to be and who the front runners would be on the Democrat side. Gretchen Whitmer and all this, how does she factor in it? Let's just get to this. Is she running for president in the next cycle, you think?
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean, Gretchen Whitmer is generally, she has historically always been running for the next seat while she's in the one that she currently is elected to, and she's not doing the job, as you can see by us being the 41st state in the nation in almost every category. But her approval ratings stay high because she refuses to speak to the media. And the media in Michigan lets her get away with it because she's a Democrat. She puts out these videos that are filled with lies saying that the state is in great shape. But if you look at the numbers, the state is in horrible condition. The one thing that will be her downfall is that she's never had a strong opponent with the financial ability to prove how bad she is. And I say that as one of her former opponents. There is so much that needs to be exposed about Gretchen Whitmer on the presidential stage. She would not be able to survive her own record. But I look forward to her trying to do it with her little videos of Dorito communions and things like that. I just don't think that's going to play well for the entire nation.
Yeah, what was that all about, the Dorito communion thing? I remember that now. It feels like it was years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. She was, what was the point of that again? Just remind me about this one, because I remember looking at this video on X and thinking, that is very weird.
She went through this strange phase of I think she had a very young social media team that was telling her all of these videos were very cool. And there had been strange videos where she was talking to a potato and all of these bizarre AI videos. But then the last one that she did, and this was really the last cringy video she did, she had a girl on her knees in front of her and she was feeding her Doritos, and the look on their faces was very awkward. And everybody went, what in the world? And it made the Catholics so mad. They went and protested outside of her house. How could you treat the Catholics like this? I mean, it was really such an unforced error on her entire, and she wasn't campaigning. She was campaigning for Kamala Harris. It was the same week that Kamala Harris blew off the Al Smith dinner and did the Mary Catherine Gallagher skit. I mean, this is like the best way for Democrats to make every Catholic in the country mad. And I think they effectively did. And I really say that she had she played a major role in them losing that election because of what she did with Catholics that week.
Yes, it has been quite a journey for Gretchen Whitmer. I still am amazed that she hasn't even been held accountable for the COVID situation. But I guess that's not going to happen. Maybe it will if she runs for president. How are you feeling about how things are going with Doge, Elon, and cleaning up the swamp? What's your take on that as somebody who's had to look at? I'm sure Michigan has some swampiness to clean up, but nationwide, Doge, Elon, they're looking at it. How do you think it's going?
There's no better sign that it's going well than the Democrats completely freaking out about it. I mean, AOC saying she's going to primary Schumer because he's going to go along with the CR that is going to give Elon more power. I mean, they're obsessed. They're obsessed with him because he is exposing the waste, fraud, and abuse. And the fact that they can't possibly step back and say, well, hey, we do believe there needs to be cuts. We'd like to see it a different way, or we'd like to see this happen. They can't even logically look at it. They just go into complete meltdown mode that there are any cuts at all. That's unreasonable. And when you see someone have a completely unreasonable reaction, you realize there's something that they're hiding, and this is a very good program. Elon Musk is doing an incredible job, and they're they're terrified of it.
You know, you have a few things happening simultaneously with these cuts. One of them is the Department of Education had a whole bunch of people told that their services are no longer needed. And now we are told that by the New York Times, I talked about this yesterday, that because those people aren't around, we won't have the best number crunchers to tell us how the school systems are doing in different states. You know, so the federal government has to just sit there and have people that are hovering and crunching numbers to tell you that states are failing. I assume, just taking Michigan as an example, there's a lot that could be improved within the school system, a lot of waste and a lot of nonsense.
41st in education as well. That's what we have to boast about. So when people say, well, my goodness, what will we do if the Department of Ed isn't there to tell us how bad we are? Actually, we'd like to see phonics in schools. We'd like to see kids reading. We know in the state of Michigan that the kids who can't read almost always end up in prison. We know that that's the case across the board. And yet we're more concerned about whether or not there are number crunchers in Washington, D.C., rather than whether or not the teachers in the classroom are getting the right information to get to the students, that we have the best public schools in the world. I mean, that shouldn't even be a question for Americans. Americans should be saying every day, why the heck would America not have the best schools in the entire world? And the minute we see one slipping, why wouldn't we just completely go crazy about the thought of our kids not having the best possible education? There's no reason for us to accept anything less than perfection when it comes to education in the United States of America. And yet the fact that you see Democrats every day saying, just keep funneling money into a bunch of people who have had zero success. I mean, it's like, you look at California, you've got, $1 billion that goes into homelessness in San Francisco and LA, and yet you have the worst homelessness problem in the entire country, and you continue to funnel money into it. At a certain point, you say, man, homelessness, poor education, these have all become industries in and of themselves that thrive on failure. We can no longer allow government to thrive on failure.
Tudor Dixon, everybody. Tudor, have a great time at the event today with Vice President J.D. Vance. Give him regards from Clay and Buck. Tell him he should come hang out with us soon. And thank you for being here, and everyone should go check out your podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Safety in your home is critical, right? Safety should be something that you know is there for you in your home in particular. And having the right security products in your home to allow you to defend yourself from intruders goes a long way in your safety preparation. The company making the products I want you to check out is Sabre. Now, you spell that S-A-B-R-E. Their products empower you to protect yourself and your family with easy-to-use, easy-to-understand equipment that gives you peace of mind at home. They've been manufacturing a growing number of products for 50-plus years, continuing refining those affordable self-protection tools you can rely on. Clay and I both have Sabre products in our homes. Our wives are both very happy to know that they have those excellent non-lethal options, a whole variety of pepper sprays, pepper launcher, door bars, things that you need for your home defense and home security. Sabre has you covered. Trust me, go check out Sabre's Home Defense Pepper Projectile Launcher. Could be your ultimate choice for home protection. Small enough to hold in one hand, fires off a full projectile of pepper spray, which will slow down any enemy or intruder. In those moments when someone invades your home, this is something that's good to have on hand for non-lethal defense. Find dozens of products Sabre makes at their website, sabreradio.com, S-A-B-R-E radio.com. Save 15% on that website today, sabreradio.com, or call 844-824-SAFE, 844-824-SAFE.